Hello, everybody. My name is Jared Mazurek. I'm the executive director of the Minnesota Deer Hunters Association. And I wanted to take a few minutes to tell you a little bit about who we are, what we do, and address a video that came out recently by a deer farmer here in the state named Steve Porter. He had some pretty um, not nice things to say about our organization and myself. And so I just wanted to clear the air and get the truth out there. So to start, I just want to share my screen here. Minnesota Deer Hunters Association, we are a nonprofit organization. Our mission right there on the screen is to ensure the preservation and enhancement of wild deer hunting opportunities through habitat, education, advocacy, and legislation. Those are really the pillars of what we do. That habitat, we do a lot of habitat conservation. We actually acquire a lot of land and then donate it back so that it's available for public use. A lot of education through our four corn camps, educating people on hunting ethics, good sportsmanship, safe hunting, and really trying to promote the next generation of conservationists and hunters. It's a very rich heritage here in the state, deer hunting, and we want to see that continue. Advocacy and legislation. We do a lot of work down at the Capitol and really advising, consulting, and advocating on a number of issues that affect deer hunters, and the future of that tradition within the state. So on the screen, you'll see that mission. You'll see our vision there as well. Really kind of breaks down more about what we do on a day-to-day basis, where our focus areas are. Within that mission, one thing I want to point out is that word wild. Our focus is wild deer. And with our advocacy legislation pillar of the work that we do, we're a democratic organization. All of our members have a say in what we do, what stances we take, what initiatives we support, what initiatives we're against. And one of those initiatives over the years has been to increase regulation of captive cervid farms, deer farms. We feel it's an unnecessary risk to our wild deer herd to allow certain practices within deer farms. We want to see double fencing. We want to see a moratorium on new registrations of deer farms, amongst a number of other things. And again, we want to see deer not being transported, deer products not necessarily being transported. So that's one stance that MDHA has taken over the years that our members have voted on that they would like to see change. So that brings us back to Steve Porter. He, like I said, is a deer farmer, and he holds a bit of a grudge that we have taken that stance and that we are looking for more regulations of deer farms, again, to protect the health of our wild deer herd and the future of deer hunting in the state of Minnesota. So with that grudge has come a lot of negativity over the years. I think in Steve's eyes, MDHA can do nothing right. And I see him taking any opportunity he has to try to tear us down as an organization and to make us look bad. When really we do a lot of amazing work around the state. And so I want to share a little bit about that work that we do, but also, if you haven't seen the video that Steve posted, I'm going to kind of go mostly point by point of what he addresses in that video, and just try to clarify and give you the truth, because there's a lot of disinformation in that video. So I'm going to address that as we move forward. So Steve kind of starts off with a history lesson in his video, which I just gave you a little bit about the history of MDHA. Steve talks a lot about my predecessor, Craig Engwall. I'm not going to get into that today. I was not here. I don't have all the details on Craig's tenure, Craig's relationship with Steve, or any of that. I was working out west at the time. So that's really not my place to really discuss Craig's history with MDHA. Um, but after jumping into Greg's history, Steve goes on to talk about how MDHA isn't doing enough about wolves in the state of Minnesota. We have been very clear what our stance is on wolves, and that we feel there should be an open wolf season within the state. Um, I mean, we know wolves are well above target numbers set by US Fish and Wildlife, and then even a buffer number that was set at a higher population by the Minnesota DNR. We are well above that. We're currently at about 2,700 wolves within the state. And we know that it's just not sustainable. It's not a sustainable population number. The carrying capacity of our ecosystem cannot support that. And so MDHA, we want to see a wolf season. We are advocating at every opportunity to see that wolf season take place. The issue here, and I did a Facebook post just a week or two ago. So I'll pull that up here. This was the message I put out there, just kind of explaining what we are doing about wolves and why we aren't able to do more at this time. So you'll see there the Fish and Wildlife Service set a goal of 1,250 to 1,400 wolves. DNR expanded that to 1,600, and we're currently at around 2,700 wolves within the state. So again, we know we're above target numbers. We know there needs to be a wolf season, and we are advocating at every level. We're going to meetings, we're talking with legislators, doing everything we can. Steve likes to say that we can be doing more. I don't ever see him say what we could be doing more other than kicking down doors, screaming, suing. We don't have the resources to go after a federal lawsuit. I don't know of anyone who does. So Steve, if you do, feel free. I mean, we would support that 100%. But the kicking, screaming, kicking down doors, that's not what we're going to do. We are going to go through the legislative process. We're going to be civil. We want to maintain our seat at the table. And when you start throwing tantrums, you lose that seat at the table. You lose all credibility. You're on the sidelines and you lose all chances of winning. So we're going to maintain that civility, go through the processes that are in place, and we're going to continue to push for a wolf season in the state. So with that out there, we'll keep moving on here. Next, Steve goes on to talk about my background and is making the claim that I come from an animal rights background, which is just purely false. He, in his video, showed my resume, which I can only imagine he copied and pasted from my LinkedIn profile. And if he wanted you to have the truth, why wouldn't he just show you my full resume, my full LinkedIn profile? Instead, he chose MDHA, where I'm currently working, and then a nonprofit organization that I have a volunteer position with, have had for a number of years, where I go around and I train educators around the country, really. But so I kind of want to get into that. First, I'll just pull up my LinkedIn here. This is all public information. I encourage you to get on LinkedIn, to look me up, connect with me. I'd love to connect with you. We can chat on here. But if you go on here, I mean, you'll see I have my full resume up here. I don't believe I've updated it since taking my new position with MDHA, because I am very new here. But my resume is right here. So if I don't know why Steve would not want to show you the full picture. I personally think he wants to show you bits and pieces that fit a narrative that he has created in his mind. Again, going back to that grudge he holds about MDHA. But you'll see on here, and I don't want to go through it all, but my education up there, I have a master's degree in teaching. undergraduate degrees in environmental science, geography, Spanish. Most recently, before coming on with MDHA, I was the executive director of the Poudre Learning Center, which is an environmental education center out in Colorado, connecting kids with nature, learning about scat, tracks, survival skills, all things like that. I've been a member of the Poudre Heritage Alliance, which is the managing entity for the Cache la Poudre National Heritage Area. I was a board member for them. I've been, let's go to the next page here. Education director for Calwood Education Center, education director for the Catamount Center. I was a professor at Colorado College for a while, elementary school teacher, backcountry, led backpacking trips for kids out of Bemidji, all over the Western US, Canadian Rockies. And then very bottom there, I was actually this Three Rivers Park District. I was a counselor for four-corn camps back in the day. So I have a very long history of working with natural resources, environmental education, which if you don't know what environmental education is, that is your Eagle Bluffs, it's your Deep Portages, Wolf Ridge, Laurentian. It's all of these amazing organizations where you, your kids, grandkids may have gone in likely fourth or fifth grade and had an amazing experience connecting in the outdoors. A lot of these organizations are where we run our four-corn camps. I ran camps with Pheasants Forever, with Trout Unlimited, other amazing outdoor conservation groups. So that's what all of these experiences are. But going back to the one that Steve focused in on, which again, I have never been an employee of NAAEE, which is the North American Association for Environmental Education. However, I am a Trainers Bureau member, Guidelines Trainers Bureau member for them. Volunteer position. I train other educators, I train other organizations on how to use the guidelines for best practices in the field of environmental education. What are the guidelines? Basically, it is saying any information you're sharing with kids should be evidence-based, right? It should be factual information. You're not out there to preach your opinion, to indoctrinate your opinion to them. You're out there to teach them facts, to teach them science, to allow them to develop their own opinions for themselves. It also goes into, is your curriculum accessible for students of all physical ability levels? Do you have ways to adapt your lesson plan for a student who might be in a wheelchair, for a student who might be on crutches? It's just training other educators, other teachers, how to put their best product forward, how to make the experience as impactful as possible for every student that goes through their program. Now, Steve wants you to think that NAAEE, the North American Association for Environmental Education, is an animal rights group. For the life of me, I could not, for the longest time, figure out where he got that idea. But I started digging and digging through the website. And it just really goes to show how deep Steve is willing to dig to fit the narrative he's already created to influence you to believe his lies. So I'll bring you to the North American Association for Environmental Education's website. Go back here. So again, NAAEE, nonprofit organization. It's really a collaborative group for environmental education centers throughout North America, Canada, the US, Mexico. We have members from everywhere involved in NAAEE. Anyone out there doing quality outdoor education is affiliated with NAAEE. Now, Steve, again, found something about animal rights and tried to claim that that was the mission statement for NAAEE. Well, I think Steve is probably a pretty intelligent person. I think if you want to find out the mission of an organization from their website, you would likely go to their About page and then look right there as mission. So if you go to their mission and scroll down, The mission of NAAEE is to use the power of education to advance environmental literacy, knowledge about the environment, and civic engagement. We want kids, we want the future generations to be involved in issues that they care about. We want them to want a better future and to work for that better future in the outdoors, right? And then to create a more equitable and sustainable future. They work with educators, policymakers, and partners throughout the world to accomplish that mission. Very clear mission statement there. Again, I see nothing about animal rights. Now, Steve went to what is called EE Pro. EE Pro is right here. NAAEE put this program, this software together, and it's basically LinkedIn for environmental educators. It's a way for educators, for organizations to get online, to collaborate, to share lesson plans, share curriculum, share conferences that they may want to go to. It's a way to post jobs, to apply for jobs. But then within that, and we'll go there now, within that, there's also this bucket here for research. So EE Pro NAAEE has a library of research articles involving environmental education in some way, shape, or form. So if we go here to the EE research, right here. So again, welcome to our collaborative research library. So again, it's a library of research that's been done around the world, and it's collaborative. People can submit articles, research papers that they've written, and then there's a whole database where you can search for topics, much like you would at your local library. So again, I was trying to figure out where this animal rights thing came from. And so you can see I've been searching on here. You search animal rights on here. And again, it's a collaborative library. Anybody can submit their research articles to this. You search animal rights, there's one article that comes up that somebody wrote in Canada, but that's not the article Steve found. Steve found something under animal welfare. And you'll see one article pops up. So Steve found this article in the library of research in a database on this website for an organization that I volunteer for, not maybe once a year, and took a screenshot where he conveniently left out the title, the fact that it was a research article, but just wanted to get the name of the website and a few keywords in here. Well, if you actually look at it, this is a research article conducted by a couple people, Almeida and Fernandez, about students in Portugal, 6th and 9th grade students in Portugal, and their opinions on animal welfare. I don't see how anyone could interpret that as the mission of an organization. It's clearly somebody trying to deceive you by digging deep into a website, finding one piece of information that fits their narrative and skewing it from there. So I don't see how anyone could consider this being an animal rights organization. And just for the sake of it, let's go back to the search here, and we can search hunting. And here we have an article about how storytelling practices within hunting and fishing strengthen human-nature relationships. I think we all agree. We share stories about our hunting trip, our fishing trip, and that allows us to connect with the outdoors, to care about conserving the outdoors a little bit more. So why is he not finding this article and saying that NAAEE is a hunting and fishing organization? Because it doesn't fit his narrative. And he's not going to share that with you. So that hopefully clears up the NAAEE animal rights argument that Steve had made. It's an education organization connecting education centers around North America to be able to collaborate, share lesson plans, share games that they play that work well, share ideas for how to adapt your lesson plan to work with a student in a wheelchair. Um, it's really a great organization, and it's something I'm proud to have volunteered for as long as I have. So with that, we'll keep moving here. Um, and really, I just want to say, Steve doesn't want you to know the good that MDHA does. He has a grudge. He wants you to join him in that grudge, and he's going to share little bits of information out of context and try to tell you that it's true or it's factual or MDHA is in the wrong. When really we're an organization that has devoted so much time, so much energy, so many resources to conserving habitat for our wild deer herd. He doesn't want you to know that we have acquired and donated back about 650 acres of land to the public for you to use, for you to hunt on, for you to hike on, for you to enjoy. On top of that, we've conducted conservation projects, habitat restoration projects on about 72,000 acres around the state. 72,000 acres of restored, higher quality habitat that our members and the funding that we receive through our members and through our grants has allowed us to do for the betterment of the people of Minnesota. So I really don't know what else to say other than I hope you'll check out our website. Feel free, please, to email me. I'm always happy to answer any questions you may have about MDHA, the work we do, how to get involved. Find me on LinkedIn, check out my full resume. I think you'll see I'm plenty qualified for this role. But yeah, thank you for your time watching this video. And I really hope that you've taken something from this and learned to not necessarily believe everything that someone like Steve Porter says, who very clearly has a grudge and just wants to drag our name through the mud and not let you know about the amazing things we do. So I hope you'll check us out. I hope you'll get involved. Thank you.